Who exactly are you performing for? Not in general. Right now. When you rewrote that message 4 times before sending it. When you decided not to post the thing. When you softened the opinion you actually held. There was someone watching, and I want you to notice that they weren't in the room. By the end of this video, I'm going to show you exactly who that audience is made of, and give you the one question that dismisses them. But not yet. If I hand you the question now, you'll treat it as a clever line. You need to see the courtroom first. Because here's the thing nobody names. You are not afraid of people. You're afraid of an audience you constructed, made of fragments of people who mostly aren't paying attention. And that audience has been setting the ceiling on your life for years. Let me tell you about Ethan. 32, project manager. Decent at what he does. Ethan had an idea about 18 months ago. A specific service he could offer on the side. Something he's genuinely good at. He's built the whole thing in his head. Pricing, positioning. He can describe it in 90 seconds. He has never told a single person. Not one. And if you ask him why, he'll say he's still refining it. That's the polished answer. The real answer showed up one night when he almost posted about it, and his thumb stopped. In that half second, 3 faces went through his mind. A guy from his old company who's mildly cynical about everything. His brother-in-law, who once made a joke about people who reinvent themselves. And a former manager he hasn't spoken to in 4 years. 3 people. One of whom he doesn't like. None of whom would have noticed the post. That's the jury. That's who's been holding the veto. Charles Horton Cooley described this over a century ago and called it the looking glass self. We don't experience ourselves directly. We experience ourselves through what we imagine others see. Cooley's point was that the imagination is the operative part, not what people actually think, but what you picture them thinking. And here's the trap he pointed at without fully naming it. The imagined version is always harsher, always more attentive, and always more coherent than any real person. I call it the phantom jury. First layer. The jury is unrepresentative. Notice who never appears. The people who love you don't show up. The people who'd be genuinely happy for you don't get a seat. Your jury is composed almost entirely of critics, skeptics, and people from a version of your life you already outgrew. You didn't select them. They were selected by whichever moments hurt most. Second layer. They're frozen in time. The manager from 4 years ago has no idea what you can do now. The person from school knows a version of you that no longer exists. You are being judged by people holding outdated files, and you're accepting their verdict as current. Third layer, and this is the expensive one. The jury never actually convenes. They don't deliberate. They don't return a verdict. There's no trial. You imagine the trial, deliver the guilty verdict yourself, and then walk around serving a sentence nobody handed down. Tom Gilovich's research on the spotlight effect measured this directly. People consistently, dramatically overestimate how much others notice them. Not slightly, by roughly double. But here's where nearly everyone gets this wrong, and it's where the whole thing rebuilds itself. Before I show you that, what you're feeling right now, seeing the mechanism clearly and still sensing that it won't be enough to change anything, is exactly where most people stop. Not from lack of awareness, from lack of a system. That's what I built the Untamed Mind protocol for. The audio is the core of it. Here, 18 to 22 minutes. Alpha theta waves, a firm voice, working in the layer where the jury actually lives, which is not the layer where you make conscious arguments. The ebook names the 4 sabotage patterns your mind runs against you, and limiting identity is the one you've been watching operate this entire video. And the dashboard is where all of it lands in an actual day. 3 priorities, a focus timer, an evening reflection, opens in your browser. No sign up, no subscription. 3 tools. One system. $9. Link in the description. Now, the mistake. The mistake is trying to stop caring. I don't care what anyone thinks. You've heard men say it. And you've noticed that the ones who say it loudest are usually the ones most visibly performing. You can't stop caring. Wanting to be regarded well by your group isn't a flaw. It's structural. It kept your ancestors alive. Trying to delete it is like trying to stop being hungry through willpower. The attempt itself becomes another performance. So the answer isn't to dismiss the audience, it's to replace the audience. Here's the question I promised you. Before any decision where you feel that thumb stop, the message, the post, the ask, the price you're about to quote, ask yourself this: whose opinion here am I willing to be judged by in 10 years? Not who's watching, who counts. Then name them. Actually name them. 3 people maximum. It has to be people whose lives you'd trade places with in the specific area you're deciding about. Not admire in general, would trade places with in that domain. And here's what happens mechanically. You can't run a jury with an empty box. If you don't consciously select who counts, the box fills itself with whoever hurt you most, because pain is memorable and warmth is quiet. Naming 3 people doesn't remove the jury. It occupies the seats. Same machinery, different occupants. What Ethan did was small. He wrote 3 names in his phone. 2 of them he barely knew. People who'd built something similar. One was his uncle. Then he sent one message to one of those 3, describing the idea in 4 sentences and asking whether the pricing made sense. He didn't post publicly. He didn't announce anything. He just moved the trial to a court with jurisdiction. The reply came back in an hour, and it was mostly a correction. His pricing was too low. 18 months of silence broken by a 60-second message to somebody who actually knew something. Because the real cost of the phantom jury doesn't show up as failure. It shows up as absence. It's the business that has no evidence it was ever considered. It's the conversation you rehearsed for 2 years and never had. It's the version of your work that only exists in your head, perfectly, where it can never be criticized and can never exist. You've been managing your reputation with people who aren't checking, at the cost of building a life with people who would. You were never held back by fear of failure. You were held back by an audience that isn't in the building. If that landed, write jury in the comments. I want to see how many of you in the Untamed Mind community can name your 3 faces immediately. Because if you can name them fast, they've been running you for a while. You stayed to the end. That's not a small thing. Most people close a video like this the second it stops being about someone else. The ebook explains why your mind builds that courtroom before you ever decide anything. The dashboard is where the first real move gets a time and a date instead of a someday. And the audio works on the layer that argument can't reach, which is the layer the jury has been living in the whole time. Link in the description. Nobody's watching as closely as you think. That's the bad news, and it's also the door.